What is an adult life equivalent of calling your teacher mom? Once I was in the airport and I went to get a sandwich. I stood at the counter to tell the worker to give me a turkey sandwich, which he prepared. He handed it to me and his co-worker noticed he didn't microwave it. So he extended his hand to me over those glass container thingies, which have food displayed in them, so he can take it to microwave it. I didn't understand why he was extending his hand, so I smiled and shook it. He laughed and pointed at my food and told me he has to heat it. I felt dumb as hell. At Dollar Tree the other day, my boyfriend walked up to the cashier and she said almost immediately, "How was your meal?" And then, "Oh, wrong job." These days I rarely talk on the phone to anyone who isn't family, so love you. Bye is a standard phone call ending. We had some issues at our house last year and I'm pretty sure I told 2 contractors and the insurance adjuster I love them. On the way back from a client meeting with one of the partners, he wasn't paying attention when the light turned green and I said, "Hey, babe, you gotta go." And then I died. My old boss and my husband's names were 1 letter apart. I worked in a daycare, so the owner and all the staff often texted one another to update each other on kids, any issues parents had, and general questions. My husband was working third, and I was working first. We didn't get to see each other much, and most of our conversation was done via text. On my very first week, I was in a rush after getting into work, and texted my husband the same thing I always texted him when I got into work. "Hey babe, I'm here. I hope your night was as awesome as you are 3. I love you so much. Your dinner is in the crock pot." When I went on break, I checked my phone. Nothing back from my husband. But my boss had texted me. It read, "Love you too." What? I was so confused until I looked back at the messages and realized I had sent her the text meant for my husband. Changed her contact name to boss after that one. Thank God she had a good sense of humor about it. My friend was on a toilet. Someone knocked and she said, "Come in." I had a coworker who would jokingly call our chief Big Daddy behind his back. We were all working a little late one night and she let "Hey Big Daddy" slip as he walked in. To her credit, she owned it and now calls him that in regular conversation. Still weird though. Going on autopilot and coming terrifyingly close to giving my short female employees nudges like I do my daughters. I'm a teacher. I unthinkingly scolded my dog the other day with, "Follow the directions." We kinda just stared at each other for a second while I realized how ridiculous I sounded. My husband has mixed up my and his sister's name more than once. Also, calling your kids the pet's name. This happened to a coworker years and years ago. We were tellers at a local bank. Every Christmas we had tiny candy canes to give to the kids of customers. One guy came through with his transactions he had cashed back. Teller 1 was helping him. She proceeds to give him his cash in a 100 bill and a candy cane for his kid. He looks at her and says, "Can I have that broken up?" She then proceeds to bash the candy cane to a pulp with my stapler and gives it back to him. Teller 2 just looked at her after the dude said thanks and drove off, and said, "I think he meant the 100 bill. I will remember this story forever." Calling your wife mom is pretty bad. I did that once almost 20 years ago and the cringe hasn't lessened over time. When talking with family we always end our calls with "I love you." So I'm on a call with my longtime assistant and as the call ends without thinking I say "I love," and stop horrified as I couldn't think of how to finish it. Thank God she had a sense of humor. She said, "Aw, come on now. You can say it. Go ahead. Tell me you love me." So I did and we laughed about for years. If you are a teacher, calling your students by their older brother/sister's name that you had before in your class. My boss is old enough to be my dad although his kids are younger than me. Sometimes he reminds me of my dad and I have almost told him, "Oh okay Chip," my dad's name, in a sarcastic "I don't agree with you" tone. Once when we were having a we don't agree about something conversation that had to do with our other leader, he slipped and called me his daughter's name while giving me advice. He wasn't telling me I had to do what he was saying but was sharing why he thought I should. It really made me feel that he was genuinely giving me the best advice he could. I still didn't agree, but I did take his advice. I know this is exactly an answer to the question, but life has been a little hard lately and typing out a nice moment made me feel a bit better, so I am going to leave it. I once called an older female coworker mom because she kinda looks and gives off a vibe like my mom. Does putting veggies in the washing machine instead of the fridge count? I once saw a flustered young lawyer address a judge as "Oh Lord." He was a big church person and had kind of fallen into a prayer cadence as he nervously argued. Everyone pretended it had not happened. I work in a prison where I have occasionally have an inmate say, "Alright officer, Mo kid, have a good night, drive home safe," hit him with a "thanks you too." Multiple life sentences. My first silver. Thanks ya. Getting my children's names mixed up or calling them by the pets' names. Thank you to everyone who upvoted me and commented your stories. Sorry I haven't replied to you all, but I've upvoted all of you. Glad to see I'm not alone. Virtual high five. I called my housekeeper Daddy instead of Darcy. It was an autocorrect mistake in a text, but I didn't notice for 24 hours when I realized she never texted me back. I was absolutely mortified, but she thought it was hilarious. When she texted me 2 weeks later, her opening line was, "Who's your daddy?" I actually lost my mind in a meeting reading that. She's the sweetest older lady, and now my nickname for her is Daddy. Hello Mr. Johnson. This is Richard calling from XYZ Inc. How are you today? Well, not so great. I'm driving to my wife's funeral right now. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, hey, I just wanted to follow up real quick to make sure you received that email I sent you the other day. I got rather drunk at my good female friend's house and accidentally called her babe while we were cooking. I'm a girl and I'm dating a boy. No idea why I did that. I referred to the pediatrician as the veterinarian for the first year or two of our kid's life. Even did it in the office and over the phone with staff. Yes, we had pets long before we had kids. Thankfully, they claimed to find it charming and reported I wasn't the first to make the mistake. Getting into the wrong car and looking over to realize you're sitting with a complete stranger who is extremely confused. Or fixing your tits in a window reflection and realizing someone's inside. Calling your wife mom and her calling you dad. It happens to real parents if they are really kid focused and then they start liking it and doing it on purpose. Not for me. I'm still in last year of high school. But my older brother once called his boss Papa, Dad, instead of patron, boss. One of the reasons he doesn't work there anymore, uneasy face. Every day when I leave work I text my so and let him know whether I'm going straight home or whatever. The last person I had texted was my boss. I sent her the text, "Baby, free from work? I'm headed to the store to get groceries, I love you so much." Imagine my surprise when my boss, who I'm luckily close with, texts me back, "LOL good girl?" I was so confused. Opened the text convo. Realized what I had sent her. Sank into a puddle in the middle of the grocery store in embarrassment. We all had a good laugh about it the next day.